Hi everyone, I'm Riad. I think it's been very interesting. I guess to a certain degree, a lot of people did ask me on the basis that you come from a very different background. Obviously, automotive was the mainstay of my understanding of how the world works in the business world. But that being said, coming into an industry that actually had a lot or still has a lot of similarities in the likes of infrastructure, people, and resources. That's where my experience, I guess, from the past has helped me. But more importantly, I think is the environment that I have working here, the people, the all stars themselves, having helped me get through the first few months, and after a year and a half, being able to interact and work with each and one of them, I think has made it very, very pleasant and more importantly, very educational for me. It is a very regulated industry, without a doubt, the most I've ever been in. But I also appreciate the fact that it is so, and the complexity is something that I am here to learn continuously with. I think from a CEO's perspective or senior management's perspective, digitization of the work environment is a must. It's the world we live in now. Everyone has and utilizes a handphone or mobile device in one form or another, and it is a fact that if we do not embrace digital or technology in any form or manner, we'll be left behind, and that is inclusive of a person of my responsibility. So it is a must for me to understand, embrace, and utilize it as much as possible, and it has helped me in many ways, from efficiencies perspective, reporting, subject matters perspective as well, and it's made me better in terms of what I can make a call on with enough information and at a pace that is required, especially in this industry. That being said, as much as we want to utilize it internally to make it better for us, I think the other thing that we must realize or understand is the fact that the world that we serve, the consumers that we serve, are becoming very, very close in terms of its utilization of digital. Yes, there are pockets that don't use or utilize digital solutions and whatnot at the moment, but what we see is the growth. We see the consumers embracing this even more, and hence it's also important for us as an organization to produce digital solutions so that it is in line to what they are expecting. They are looking for the ease of purchasing tickets, the ease of checking in, the ease of dropping their bags, going from the point of immigration all the way into the aircraft. So we're hoping and we are implementing new solutions. Some have been implemented, some are ongoing, to make the customer experience seamless from the day they buy the ticket through the website or mobile application, all the way to getting into the aircraft. And hopefully at one point, we'll be able to extend that knowledge or the data or the information that we gather from a loyalty perspective to even personalize it even more for our passengers. I can, to a certain degree, I can elaborate a bit, but I think the expectation is always there to a certain degree. But let's go back to AirAsia being what it is. We're here to serve the people. We have a business model that extends in terms of network, ability, in terms of scheduled flights, increased scheduled flights, and exploring new destinations. During festivities, that's a bit particular or peculiar in the sense that we will have to add in more resources. But it's done correctly. We are also reliant on regulators because they will determine on how many extra flights we can have, for example. But that being said, we internally have the resources and capability to be agile, to be in a position that we can adjust to the requirements if need be at certain periods of the year. But that being said, we still look at what we have as a base. And I'm very encouraged by the fact that we have a very, very good and strong base. from the traditional aspect of the business, and it's where we enhance it that is required, and we will do so accordingly. We're still looking at many possible destinations. It's part and parcel of our business on a daily basis. We have a team here that looks at the potential countries that we want to fly into. AirAsia is that. We don't just fly into tier 1 cities, we fly into tier 2, tier 3 cities and create opportunities or new destinations. Obviously, the one that we are looking forward to will be on July 1st. It is from Penang to Malacca. Both tourist destinations. We've seen the pickup being very promising, and hopefully that will help in terms of our business, especially on the domestic side of things. Before I answer that particular question, I just want to dwell a bit in terms of my own personal experiences. I've been in the automotive industry. I've also been in property to a certain degree in my previous job, and food and beverage and everything else. The question is always valid. Every industry we look at, people will say it's saturated, there is no growth, or there's potential growth, but in its minimal digits year on year. I've walked into an industry that I see nothing but potential in many ways. Yes, maybe the complexity of it maybe creates a nuance where people are much more cautious in terms of the industry. We're talking about assets in the billions, which we currently have. How are we going to get this going? But I see the potential because I've been in industries that have flatlined most of the years. Whereas here in the airline industry, specifically in Malaysia, I've seen nothing but growth. And we've been able to do so year on year as AirAsia, and not just AirAsia, but AirAsia Group around the region, because people are looking and finding ways to get across seas. We're not landlocked, we're landlocked to a certain degree, but people want to travel. And we are allowing this to happen because we are making it affordable. So if someone would want to see whether this is an industry that is growing or not, I'm here to attest that the potential is there. Our job is to make it work for our business model. And from that perspective, it's a drive year on year. And, from what I see in the more recent times, we've seen nothing but growth. But it's also owing to the fact that our model works and we are pushing the agenda. We're pushing everyone here to make sure that we grow this business year on year. I think, again, we work closely with the agencies, government agencies, state tourism agencies, and other parties that will be interested in terms of the tourism growth. We bring in passengers into Malaysia. We fly, on average about 3,000 plus weekly flights into Malaysia, and as a group, not just Malaysia, AirAsia or AirAsia X. So in that combination, that means we are allowing capacity to come into Malaysia. Tourism itself requires products, and I think we're looking forward to the government actually to a certain degree pushing that agenda for Visit Malaysia 2020. And from there, we will benefit on the basis that if the product is there and whatnot, people will want to travel into Malaysia. Now, so that's one subject that needs to be focused on Malaysia as a destination. Other than that, I think from my perspective, there are areas that we as an airline can improve as well, but that would mean extending our capabilities possibly into other countries, scheduling it even more maybe, so that we can bring in more passengers or more tourists into the country. Then last and not least, probably on the area of airport readiness, facilities that are close and the infrastructure surrounding the airport, because when a tourist comes into the country, there are a lot more other infrastructures that need to be there to support this demand at the end of the day. Our job is to bring tourists in. After that, then they will go to the places. But all that needs to be taken into account. And if everyone comes onto the same page, we can make it a success. I think in terms of capacity, I don't have the statistics or facts right now, but there are enough evidences that some airports are at nearing capacity and requiring certain expansions, so on and so forth. Not just because AirAsia flies there. You have multiple airlines that come into Malaysia as well, and they require such facilities to accommodate the demand at the end of the day. So I think that's something that we will have to leave it to the operators. But of course, when demand is there, it would be ideal that it is met. We're an operator. As I said, and I mentioned much earlier, we carry passengers into the market. But when we land in a particular market, the readiness of the facilities need to be there as well, because the experience of the customers will dictate whether this person comes in and out again or not. So I think this is something that is very clear and needs to be looked at from a holistic point of view. My to-do list is to continuously look at cost. This is a must on a daily basis. Again, our business model is predicated on cost controls. How we function as an airline, how we function as a unit, utilizing our aircrafts on a daily basis, the hours we utilize, how many sectors we fly, so on and so forth. The model is set. The job that we have right now is to maintain that, enhance it even further, which also includes us looking at new resources or infrastructure, which includes new aircrafts. For example, the 321s that we are going to take will allow us to have 50 more seats, which means it's good for AirAsia from a business perspective, but from a passenger's perspective now, they have the opportunity to fly at a certain schedule that what may not have been made available. For example, someone who wants to travel at 7 o'clock in the morning to Singapore, the current plane that flies there will only take a maximum of 186 passengers. So there's going to be another 50 people somewhere that wanted to take the flight will not be able to do so and will have to take the 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. What we're now looking at is efficiency, obviously, but at the same time, we're considering the fact that now we are giving that capacity back to the customers. So now you have a choices back to the customers and to utilize it. Good for customers, good for business, because we get to sell an additional 50 more seats. But that's the economics of it. And also on top of that, the 321s are much more efficient in terms of operations. So we're looking at efficiencies there also. That will translate into costs being reduced and us translating it back to the tickets so that the consumers get better deals. That is probably the greatest priority I have right now when it's a to-do list. That's what I wake up and look at. And on top of that, obviously, is performance in terms of, again, customer experience. We look at OTP. We want to be on time as best as we can. We produce very, very strong OTPs now, but it's also assisted by the new structures that we have, the new technology that we're putting in place. That also translates into our Net Promoter Score, which is an internal gauge we have with regards to consumers' wants, dislikes, or likes. So we're aware across the board or the spectrum here what we need to do on a daily basis. Internally, cost is a must, but externally, I have to care for the passengers. We even have this year is the main mantra for us is customer obsession, and it's something that I'm pursuing with the teams to make sure that we deliver what we promise at the end of the day. Personally, and I share this notion with the guidance of the shareholder and the founders of this company, is that we want to be the travel tech company of the future. What that means is probably similar to the like of Amazon being everything and all in there. You know, just for example, we started off as an airline. So we fly people across the seas, or new destinations, or destinations of their choices. Now we've got technology mentioned earlier in terms of the seamless experience is one for the customers, but technology that can enhance our capabilities to make us more efficient from an operating point of view, and also safety and security, so on and so forth. So we don't want to be just an airline. We have the ability, we have the capabilities now to become more than that. And that's what I think we will achieve in 5 years' time. We have started certain programs, certain areas that we are enhancing, utilizing technology and whatnot, and hopes that come in 5 years' time will evolve to become more than just an airline. We're already in the process and progress right now. We will get better as we go, but we'll be different definitely in 5 years' time.